If you haven't seen the last video, you should check that because you will know how important this thing is. But anyways, I've been using mirrors lately. A month or so ago, I stepped onto a location and there were mirrors off to the side that I ended up utilizing to light the scenes that we were shooting in this kitchen. So I just wanted to document this mostly as kind of just a reminder to myself, show what was done on set, and then get a little more specific in a studio environment that I will show you in a few minutes. When I walked in, I was happy to see these mirrors. One, I didn't need to set them up. Two, I like using the mirrors for reasons that I'll show you. And three, there were multiple mirrors on the walls. First, we can look at a test shot here where the only light that's in here outside of the ambience in the room was a light off to the side, creating this on the back wall here. This is the other scenario with the light pushed through the mirrors. At first glance, the team liked the first shot where it was the light just pointed at the back wall, but I decided to go with something else and go through the mirrors because the light was too sourcey on the back wall because we couldn't get it further away. You can feel that the light is right outside of the frame and pointed at the back wall, and I didn't like that, where here I couldn't feel any lights being there. And a big reason for that was because of how far away the source was, like how effectively far away it was. The light being pushed through mirrors makes the light source effectively be behind the mirrors as much distance as it is in front of the mirrors. In our case, that would be almost doubling the distance of the light, and we can see here that it is not too strong over here and then too weak over here. It's just uniform because the fall off is slower, where this has a really fast fall off where it's like really bright right here and then it gets more normal over here, which is not good. We can kind of see this in the waveform as well. So we have our back wall lit right here up towards 85 ARRI, and then down here we are around 65. Even though that's not that big of a difference, I can feel it in this image and I can't feel it in this image. And I wanted to go for something that was less lit and more natural. If this was in a studio and a larger setup, I could consider putting the backlight like this because I could have it farther away. Because if you're on a sound stage, you know, you can have a kitchen sound stage with no walls like this. It's just the background. So you get the light really far away. So the fall off is really slow and it could feel right. But this was a real location and I couldn't physically get the light far enough away. So the mirrors helped out here because of the fact that this was quick cutting material and there were elements of it that took place over a longer period of time as she's making coffee and kind of going in and out of daydreaming and working on things in the kitchen. I could slightly alter all the different pings of light on the background by just moving the key light, which was an aperture 600D. I could just move it an inch or half an inch and it would change how everything on the background is here. So here all we're seeing that 600D going through those mirrors, effectively being 15 feet beyond the wall of the room that we were in, which creates this more natural feeling. Some of the light coming from the mirror is hitting her and some of it is hitting the background. She is being hit with light that feels like it's the morning. In addition to the 600D going through the mirrors, I put an Amaran 300C with nothing on it as far back as I could over here and panned towards camera to just give a little bit of an edge on her and wasn't really lighting the kitchen. So we have light going this way and illuminating her, and then just tried to get some light coming from the back, which we can see right here from that 300C. And I also had that pretty warm. So everything in this scene from here to here, I didn't need to adjust any lighting outside of maybe minor little corrections that I made on the 600 through the mirrors. From a wide where we can see the whole kitchen to close up here, this is working. We can see the light in the product and in the glasses, and it just looks like, you know, we were in there in real life, which I think is a good place to be in advertising right now, where it doesn't necessarily look like we feel like we're in a room, and then we can pan up, tilt up to her and not change any of the lighting and move around the whole entire kitchen, and it looks real sunny morning vibes. So we also have these moments where she's dancing around and there's shadows and light, but we're getting light all the way to over here that's as bright as where it starts over here, and she goes in and out of being in the light. Again, it feels very real. So we can move the camera around in the whole area. See, she's in the light right here, not so much right here. So it's a real scenario, feels real, and moving in and out of the light, utilizing the 600D through the mirrors is a much better move than if we only utilized that light to make the slash on the wall. We would be missing out on these naturally occurring moments of going in and out of the sun. This is another good moment here where we can see light on her. We can see light and shadows back here. We positioned her in the middle to kind of not see this rectangular shadow, which is just from this cabinet right here. Almost like we hit it at the exact right perfect time where the sun was coming through the windows, but we had kind of a consistency all day. It's all because of shooting through the mirrors, because the light can feel further away. Now we will go into the studio and just take a look at putting a light through a mirror and getting it to be far away when you otherwise couldn't. Before we go in there, I want to thank Audio for sponsoring this video. I've been using Audio for the past, maybe it's been a year, to get music and sound effects for my videos. You can use Link Match AI, where you can paste a song from YouTube or Spotify and a couple others, and it will return a list of songs in their library that match the feeling and vibe. This is nice because I have playlists that are 10 years old that I've been adding to on Spotify and on YouTube. To be able to paste that into Audio and then get tracks that you can use is a really amazing feature. In addition to that, they have stems. You can have all the different tracks of a song fade in and out of certain instruments and certain elements. I don't even know how much of an advertised feature it is at this moment, but it's cool if you don't like one element of a song to be able to remove it. Those two features alone I think are amazing, and there's a link below that can get you a nice discount on the first year, and it's provided me with everything I've needed for all of my YouTube videos, and they have made this YouTube channel grow, so you should check them out. Okay, to the studio. So we have a mirror off to camera right. The light is illuminating a lot of the room, similarly to kind of like how sun comes in a room and illuminates everything. But for this, we're just gonna look at the bottles. I wouldn't consider this final because the background is a little bit dark, but I'm only gonna use this one light just to look at the products. Even something like this could work. We're bouncing off of the mirror and the wall. So if we close down a little bit, what we're hitting will have a lot more contrast. So now I'm hitting much less of the wall. So there's a lot of different options that can happen right here. And to mimic sun, I'm gonna hit the wall a little bit more to more so mimic light bouncing around the room, but with still hard light on the shadow. And I will then walk the light in a little bit, even though our distance is probably not even as far as we would really want it. But now we can get that mirror line out of the table, and we have this, and we can take a look at this compared to if we have the light right where the mirror is, just as like an extreme example. Well, that's a little happy accident. I don't know exactly what's happening right there. It's just the leaf from the light. So I'll lower our intensity until you can see what's going on here. So here this looks like we can really feel that light being right there. You can see the shadow from this one being sharp right here and all fuzzy right there, which is not what happens with sunlight. And just because this is a little hard to look at, I'm gonna take off the spotlight. So this is more what sun would look like because it's taking up the whole room, but it's too close. We can feel the closeness of it. The last thing we can look at is I'll just put it, because I don't have room to go this way, I'll just put it the same distance, but on the other side, I will just stop down to get us somewhat acceptable. So at first glance, this doesn't look that bad, but if you stick with it for a moment, you can see it doesn't look right. Partially because of the shadows and partially because you can kind of just feel where the light is because the light is very close. Also, iPhone footage, ProRes, love it. Effectively what we were doing with the mirror, which is just a little tricky here because the mirror's on the wall and I have no control and I can't choose what size it is. I will just move back. So I'll just move back this light, kind of not as far as I would like to, but as far as we can get. And I'll raise it up. And since we're in the home studio, it ain't gonna be exact. And I will stand here to block the mirror, which also might give a little bit of color because of my shirt, but we can see how this looks a little more real. Light further away mimics more of what we would expect from real life scenarios and makes an image feel better overall. In this scenario, I'd back the light up even further. The light looks different when it's really close compared to when it's further away. In tight spots, you can utilize the mirror to make the light seem further away, or you can utilize multiple mirrors to turn one light source into many. Similarly to how we had multiple mirrors on the wall, we could direct light in different directions with each one of those mirrors, which I have done in a very tight space studio before. Lit the whole scene normally, then utilized one powerful light. I think it was, like in this specific example, I think it was an M18 or an M40, flagged it off so that it wouldn't hit anything besides a pocket of mirrors in the corner of the kitchen. There were maybe 5 mirrors there. They were the light bridge reflectors, and we put little pings of light around in the background. One big light, bunch of mirrors in the corner. Very easy to move each one around. It's a lot easier to move a mirror that's this big than it is to move an M40, and really dial in exactly how you want the back of the kitchen to be, because typically kitchen stuff is like daylight, morning, or sunset, whether it's real mirrors like I looked at in the beginning of this video, or products like Light Bridge, or even the new, what's it called, liteflow, that have even, diffused mirrors. Reflecting the light and getting your light source further away helps everything to seem more real. It's also really helpful in small spaces. Also, mirrors, like actual mirrors, are very helpful outdoors. You have the sun outside, you're in a field, it's a lot easier to redirect that sun with a mirror board, which is 4x4 mirror, and usually on the other side of that is a shiny board, which is kind of like more frosted. It's a little bit easier to use a mirror board than it is to use an M90 that you have to power and is huge and harder to move around. So mirrors have always been around and used in this way, but going from small spaces all the way to exteriors in the daylight, they are extremely useful. In addition to using the mirrors here in post, power windows were used to create more pings of light in the background, and this was a result of overexposing. So you can see this is the shot, this is just the look, this is off of the camera, this is the look applied, and this is the exposure brought down. So shooting like that helped us put more pings of light in the background, which I will get into in the next video. I will see you there after I get a haircut. Peace.
I am so pissed right now. The mic that I use, I had it set to the lowest sensitivity, so all of the audio was really low, and I had to put it through the Adobe fixer, and it sounds okay, but it sounds a little bit like, you can hear it. I can't possibly re-record this, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it, and I'm sorry.